Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hardwoodnation podcast. My name is Cortez Paul, along with CL Anthony, the editor-in-chief of the Hardwood Nation. We got Bryce Ward, who is also a contributor to the Hardwood Nation. And we're here to have an open discussion about what's going on in the world today. We're revolving around George Floyd and the protests and what the sports world, including the NBA, is doing to talk about these issues that's coming up to the upfront. And let's get it started. So CL have wrote a piece that was quite controversial. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass it to him, let him talk about his piece a little bit, and we just gonna bounce off CL, and we'll go ahead and let CL start off.
I'll try to make it quick because you know me. I'll try to make it real quick. We had our first episode last week, and I gave Bryce the rundown of what we were going to talk about, and I didn't mention race because I was going to save it for this week's episode. And so the curious thing was Bryce actually asked me at the end a question about how I felt about all the protests and things going on. And so I answered it, but I really didn't address how I felt about LeBron James because I knew a day later I was going to write that article. I was going to give him time to not retweet, to not hide behind the media, to actually come forward as far as a demonstration, a 30-second PSA, even on his talk show on HBO, to come forward and say, hey, this is how I feel, this is what I condemn, this is how we need to do better. I didn't see that. I believe Monday or Tuesday night I wrote the article, and I was angry writing it. And before I hit send, I was actually nervous. I was like, this is going to be a shitstorm. I told my wife, I said, as soon as I hit send, it's going to be a shitstorm. But the most important thing was I made my stand, and I stood by my work. And it was about him not making his right now. So that was the genesis of the article.
Okay. Bryce, your thoughts on his article?
It was very, if you read his work before, it was like pretty much what I was expecting it to be. But it wasn't like, it was all substantiated. Like, he wasn't making outlandish claims. He was just wondering where he's at, and he was throwing out, where he has spoken out in the past, or worn the shirts, or, whatever it may be. And this time it was almost nothing, I think, up to that point. Like he said, like a tweet or something. It was very small, very limited. You didn't see him anywhere. You didn't even hear his voice, I don't think, up to that point. So after reading it, it just got me thinking more. I mean, whereas before I probably wasn't thinking about it at all.
Gotcha.
So I just cleared to the point, and I think people were looking to get upset, like, just LeBron fanboys anyways. So it was going to get a lot of attention, which it did. So, but I mean, nothing was not true in it, I would say. So people that are upset, I don't know why they're upset, at him, at Cam. So
yeah. My 2 cents on it, I read it, and CL makes some valid points about it. LeBron James is the face of the league. He's got to come out and say something. You see a lot of these players on the front lines, as CL's mentioned in the article. You see Russell Westbrook in the streets. You see Russell is trying to plan a Black Wall Street documentary, because he lived in Oklahoma for a time being. So there's a lot of movement that's going on. And at the time, there's not much from LeBron. Yes, he's talking, from a distance. But, with him being the face of the league, the apparent face of the league, you want him to do more and say more. So I get where CL's coming from. Like, okay, this is our guy. This is who we always know about. He's always been in the forefront of these social issues. So where is he now? Instead of just retweeting and commenting on, certain pieces that he see. But Some of these guys are really out there. Admit all the coronavirus that's going on in the world right now and everything else. A lot of these guys are out there being vocal. Steven Jackson, of course, that was his buddy
Right,
that passed
right.
away. So you see a lot of these guys being vocal and everything and want to do good, but you got a point. Where's LeBron?
Yeah,
As
it's a valid point, and it comes from a place of love. It doesn't come from a place of hate, right? So it comes from a place of love because I have a 17-year-old kid. He's gonna be 17 this week. If I tell him something to go in one ear and go out the other ear, if he hears something from one of his idols like LeBron, it might stick a little bit. This is how you need to carry yourself. This is how you need to be careful. This is what you need to do if a cop does pull you over. 30 seconds, that's all it takes. And I've always told Bryce for years, LeBron James is disingenuous to me. If it's something that will further his career, his name, he'll do it. Why not do it now? You can do it on a fake award show like the ESPYs. You can do it then. You can do it when you're playing while wearing an I Can't Breathe shirt to support Eric Garner, but you're playing, you have the spotlight on you. With Trayvon Martin here in Florida, you were playing, you had the spotlight on you. The whole team wore the shirts. But now where are you? You're not playing now, so where are you now? You can be on the front lines. You can do a 30-second PSA. Where are you? The retweets, I'm over that. I just checked his Twitter feed this morning. Again, checked his Instagram this morning. Again, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your voice? You do a fucking advertisement about Taco Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Let's be real. ESPN picked that up, right? LeBron James
Yeah.
made Taco Tuesday a thing again, right? That's the place I'm coming from. You do it when it supports you and supports your brand. But how about supporting your brand by lifting your people up?
Yeah, you're right. He's always got me on the forefront of things. So, Bryce, your take on CL's takes the way that he feels about LeBron, where it's only just to enhance his brand.
Well, yes and no, because I just think that, I mean, you throw in just him being a human and maybe being, not saying he's selfish, but just being a human. It's like you might do that, like as someone who owns or has a business brand name. Okay, but I don't see how that right now would harm his brand. Like the amount of support both globally and within the United States is probably the greatest we've ever seen in one of these situations. Like the escalation of everything from the rioting to the protests to the amount of support I don't think we've ever seen it on this scale. Like, so why would this, it seem like right now to be like a black leader would be one of the like safer times to boost any good thing about your own brand or name.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would think he would only have uh nothing to gain but to gain right now to be out. So to me, to use that as a reasoning, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like it seems right now would be the best time to come out and be as vocal and as present in the community as you could be. Like I don't think that it would be bad. Like, so I'm having like a hard time getting my thought across, but I feel like it would be good on his part to be out. I don't think
No.
him hiding, or not say hiding, but not being more vocal is the safe play. I feel like it's detrimental to his name right now. So I don't get it when
Yeah.
everybody else is out and vocal about it. So like, yeah, you could say he chooses and picks like his times, but this seems like the time that he would want to be out. And then I wanted to ask about, what's the other name? Chris Paul's the head of the Players Union
Yes.
or Players Association,
Yes.
and Kyrie's the one speaking out about a lot of players not wanting to play. Correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. LeBron has been vocal and spoke out in the past, and then the focus is immediately on him as soon as he's the one that comes out and does anything. So, in my mind, the way I rationalize it is, and maybe it doesn't need to be rationalized, and maybe that's the problem that maybe I don't understand. But for me, it's like, if he's doing something behind the scenes that we don't know about, it's like, does he have to be as vocal as he has been before about it? Like, I don't think he would. 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 Like, I don't It's like MJ just recently announced how much he was donating and helping. But does he have a history of helping in the past and just not talking about it? Probably. So with everyone coming out the way they have, maybe, and I'm just saying, I'm like appealing to the human side of LeBron James. Maybe he just feels like he can do other things and not have to be as vocal. Not saying he shouldn't be more vocal and be out there and be that image for everyone, but maybe he just sees that there's so many people doing it, from like John Boyega to all the NBA players, everybody. Like I said, there's so many people doing it that maybe he just feels like he can use his influence elsewhere. Because as soon as he steps out, it's everybody else is doing something, but then all eyes are on LeBron James, and maybe it shouldn't be at this time, too. So I'm just saying, there's that other flip side to it, to where we don't know exactly what's going through his head and like his team's head. So I'm just not saying he shouldn't be. I'm just saying there could be another element that we're not aware of that, he's taking into regards.
Got you. CL, your thoughts on Bryce's, the way that he's.
Oh yeah, and that was eloquently said. And Bryce actually touched on something that brought validity to the article. If this is a safe time for LeBron to come out, where is he? I'm still going to go back to that. If this is a safe time for him to come out and protect his brand, but also come out for his people, then why aren't you coming out? I read an article last night that said LeBron has been seen working out in Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure there's some protest somewhere in Los Angeles. Swing by, shake hands, do a photo op. You know what I'm saying? Grab a fucking Black Lives Matter sign, even if it's for 30 seconds. Be the face of it. It's safe now, correct? So why not do it? Now, to address Michael Jordan, Cortez and Bryce, I'm a little older. I remember for years Michael Jordan caught hell because he didn't do enough. Tiger Woods caught hell because he didn't do enough, which now in his retirement, Michael has done more since he's retired because he didn't do enough while he was playing. So we know what LeBron James wants to be. We know who he's trying to follow. Look at the mistakes that Michael made and fix them because he's powerful enough to do that. ESPN is still calling out Tiger Woods. Bryce, I sent you an article on that the other day. I mean, a video on it where they said what Tiger's statement wasn't enough. So those conversations have been had for years with Michael, with Tiger, with other top black athletes. So LeBron can look at that and be like, wow, they did go hard on those boys. Let me be the one that's different. Like I said, it's not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of love. I want to see him come out. His words are deeper than mine. His brand is a lot bigger than mine. Me coming out, the little bit that I'm doing, I brought the website back because of this, and I've been flooding the website with all this support and all the protests and all the demonstrations from the players. That's why Hardwood came back. That's my little piece. But let's talk about my little piece, my 0.001% versus LeBron James' 100%, as far as reach, as far as impact. So that's where it comes from.
All right. So let's get into where he is trying to do something. I know there was like come out and vote, some kind of vote thing that he's trying to lead. I'm trying to blank on it, but I see those kind of laugh.
I knew he was gonna laugh at that.
I can break it down for you. If you want me to break it down for you, I can break it down for you.
break it down for me because I know you've been reading a little bit more about this, but break it down and apparently your thoughts on it.
Okay. So in all fairness, I did an article on that too, because a day after I dropped my article, then that news broke. Okay. But let me tell you how it broke. So again, this is what I'm asking for. I'm asking for him to come out, say his little piece, do his thing, right? So he has a phone call with the media that no one in the public is privy to. He has a phone call with the media, so then the media can write an article about this voting initiative. So now he's going to tell black folks in particular that we need to go out and vote and how we need to go out and vote. That's fine. Cortez, I ask you this question. How many people have put voting initiatives in place in the past?
Plenty,
right. It still will not make people get up off their ass and go vote. I'm just saying. Now,
Yeah, fair enough.
the New York Times released this story. Then, of course, I believe ESPN picked it up, and it's all over social media and stuff. So the quotes that we heard wasn't from an actual LeBron James on TV or LeBron James on Instagram. It was LeBron James making a media call. So here's my challenge, and this is why I'm so impassioned about it. As quick as you can have a media call with the New York Times, why can't you pick up the phone, get on Stephen A. Smith's show, get on Skip Bayless' show? We know Shannon Sharp loves LeBron James. Get on those shows, be on television, be the face of it, and talk about your voting initiative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you hiding? The New York Times. When was the last time you picked up a New York Times article?
Been a minute. At least
You get
reading it
what I'm,
online, it's been a minute too. Yeah.
you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He would be so impactful, so more impactful if his face was on television. Which again, I go back to the article. And if you look at the article, the first thing in the article, as far as the title, is not LeBron James. What does it say, Cortez?
Yeah, it's just that's not. It's talking about where's the life's at. Yeah. When
It's
I
talking
read it,
about
it's
the title, though. The title says hashtag Black
Black Lives
BLM, Black Lives Matter, because that's the most important part about that article.
Bryce, your thought on his whole voting? Have you heard about that? What CL described?
Yeah, I saw the article. Well, I saw his article about it, or the info, the link on it, the day after his article dropped, and so of course I brought that up to him, or after looking a little more into his, the points he made against it. How it's just not that influential. More could be done. But like I said, we just don't, I guess, know the whole. I mean, it's hard to know the whole story. Not defending him not coming out, because I do think the influence would be huge. Just to see him. But, you can do things from home, so it's hard to blame the virus right now for not seeing him at all. You could say, well, I don't feel right being in the streets. I can understand that. I don't have a problem with people being safe and still thinking that the virus is a thing we should take seriously. But that doesn't take away from him being able to do stuff from home, like CL said. So I do think he could do more. I just don't feel like we should, trying to think of the right word, like, I guess, be so harsh on it. But then again, he's so important that maybe he just doesn't have as much of a choice as I think he should have with it. Maybe he should just, get out there and do it. And it's like, I don't think that's fair, but, his image is too big. His reach is too far to, I think, let so many others in the NBA come out and be such a focal point, because basketball is so huge in the Black community. It's like the athletes in the NBA might be more important than the others. So, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it at this point, but I think the big wild card is, like, we just don't know exactly everything he's doing, and if he is doing more, why isn't he talking about it? It would only help. So,
For sure.
I don't know. Like, that's basically, I think, all I can say on it. Like, without, I don't know, being too opinionated or too much of sound like an ass. Like, I don't have as big of a problem with it because so many people are out there, but it would be big if he did come out, for
Gotcha.
sure.
All right. Before we go into the comment, I want to ask kind of one thing that kind of segue to it. Did y'all both watch the Chappelle special on YouTube?
I watched it last night. Me and my wife watched it last night.
I haven't watched it yet. I've seen pieces of it through, like, Twitter or Instagram, but I know, like, I knew about it. I just haven't watched it yet.
Okay. He has a part in there where he's talking about what Don Lemon kind of called out the celebrities and everything like that, and he was daring them to say his name. So I guess he's saying that these are the streets that are talking. So what more do y'all want y'all favorite comedian to say? Um, does he kind of got a point in referring to like LeBron? What more can he do, or is that just not comparable to that? And I start off with CL.
This is what I'll say because I watched it last night and I actually loved it. Okay. But if you remember how he opened it, how he talked about what's going on, how he talked about the significance of the 8 minutes and 46 seconds,
Hmm.
that right there alone is more than anything we've heard LeBron say in the last 2 weeks. So Chappelle did address it. But where's LeBron?
Yeah.
Just remember how he opened the show, the significance of that, how they had that man down for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, how that man was calling out to his dead mother, and Chappelle said he's only seen that one other time before, which was his father.
Hmm.
So he did speak on it. That's what I
Yep.
got to say about it.
Pretty much. Bryce, I don't know if you get a chance. Make sure you get to watch that. But um,
Yeah.
he did speak on it and everything like that. I think he felt that and it was very emotional packed. So Chappelle, I mean, it wasn't really much jokes. It was just
Mm-mm.
him being
Just
real
him
candid,
talking.
just him talking,
And
and
it's
this
only
was good.
27 minutes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's on YouTube. So make sure you get a chance to check that out. So really
No, I
good.
will. I will for sure. He has a way of explaining himself and getting his point across that has always hit home with me. I've always been like a massive fan. So no, I'll for sure watch it. I just find him interesting, anyways. He doesn't have to be funny. He's just he has an interesting point for sure.
Got you. All right, so going through some of these comments, and as CL mentioned before he released this story, he had a feeling that it was going to be um, it's going to be very vocal and very a lot of comments on it because a lot of this stuff is it's hard to talk about. It's one of those issues where you sit down and have a conversation and have something like this. This is the hard hitters, and CL brought some great points in the article, and it's got a lot of uproar in the article. CL, you want to kind of respond to the comments, and we can go through but your general thoughts of the respawn of this article.
The hardest thing this week has been not responding to the comments myself. It's been extremely hard. I've been called everything from a hater to a Trump supporter to I don't support Black Lives Matter. I've been called everything in the book, and it's actually been great because it is starting dialogue, um, which is part of the reason why I sent it out. We have to have these tough discussions, like we just have to. Um, so from that standpoint, I'm proud. But for the record, I'm not a Trump supporter. I loudly and proudly support Black Lives Matter. I actually support all the riots and protests right now. Raise hell, burn it down until our point come across. Because when we do it peacefully, no one understands. They say, well, any time we try to do something, it's not good enough. So we do it peacefully. It's not good enough. Look at Kaepernick. So burn the shit down. I don't care. Burn it down. Um, and I am a proud member of ADOS, which is the African descendants of slaves. So let's just put that out there. I support my people. I stand by my people. I actually stand by LeBron James, which is why I'm imploring him, bruh, come out, say something.
Got you, Bryce. The response you see to the article.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it is just like internet tough guys defending their what they perceive as like their side, which it's misplaced. They're just lashing out. They're not really taking to heart what the I don't think the article says because it's more like he said more like a plea or more like a call out than it is necessarily like an attack on what him coming out would do. It's not against it. It's in support of all the good things of it, not the bad. So, I mean, that's just misguided comments. Like, it's just people arguing, and it's what you come to expect through comments on any social media. I feel like at this point, it's just I don't know, stupidity, ignorance, because even if you have a like, if you want to call him out on those things, it's like he said, he's in support of this, and that. It's just shallow. You're not doing the research, and right now is such an interesting time because there's a lot of ways for people to hide their displeasure or their racism. There's a lot of ways for people to hide it behind laws and behind pride, saying, you don't destroy, you don't riot and burn down your own places. Like, there's just so much. Like, there's so many people that just don't get it, and if you're against it in some way, shape, or form, then you need to take a good, long, hard look at yourself, because this is the only time things are getting done. We're actually seeing legislature change, at least proposals for it. You're seeing a lot of things happen right now. And if we didn't have the protests and the riots, and it doesn't matter in what form, if you didn't have targets getting looted, you didn't have buildings getting burned down, nobody would pay attention. Nobody would listen.
Exactly.
And they had a problem with him kneeling, Kaepernick kneeling. Well, where did that get you? It got you to this point. They gave you this other option, and you spat on them. You took away their job, and you belittled them. And for what? And now you want to complain? No. If you look back, even at our own history, the United States of America's history, like the Tea Party,
Mm-hmm.
It's what gets, when you start messing with money and the norm, that's when people start paying attention. And the people who don't like it, they're part of the problem. They're not supporting it, and they just want to point a finger, and it's disgusting. And right now, those people are finally getting ousted and pointed at for the first time. And so that's why I haven't had a problem. Like, it's hard when you see both sides and you know people on both sides, and you just got to start cutting people out. And that's what I feel like a lot of right now is happening, is people are taking long, hard looks and having to make a choice. And if you make the right choice, then a lot of other people are going to be on that other side. And it's for the first time, it's really causing change, I feel like. And if people have a problem with that, then they're not looking at it the right way.
Greatly said, Bryce.
Yeah, really said. I'll read you some of the articles and see the comments, and yeah, it's easy to focus on what LeBron did in the past, and yes, he built a school, and he done everything else for social injustice and stuff. And yes, he done a lot. He done a lot of good. We've seen that. That's what CL is talking about. Like, what about now? We ain't talking about what he did in the past. This is something it's still going on, regardless of what he did in the past.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are not conveying the message that CL is trying to portray here is that your voice, where there's no sports as an outlet, there's nothing else as an outlet, will mean volumes. It will speak volumes right now what's going on in the world. And so I see a lot of these comments, and I just think they just kind of seen the headline,
right?
And didn't really read it.
Didn't do the work. Didn't do the work, right?
Yeah, right. They just read the words, and that's a lot of problem. What's going on today? What's going on when I'm not really vocal on political stuff, especially on Facebook. I just know that where I live at and where I went to high school at, I know a lot of different types of people, and it's going to get the response. So, I see it too as where people need to really, well, let me step in CL's shoes right quick, and let me read from where he's coming from. He mentioned that he's got a 17-year-old son, and he's mentioned, what about progression going forward, and how someone that is just known by billions of people and just come out and say stuff and say, oh yeah, we see you doing stuff in the background, and we see you doing things that may help along the future, but we want to hear your voice and see your tone and your demeanor when you come across this stuff. I think that's what CL is trying to message out here. I shared a video on my Facebook. It was on the John Oliver show, with this young, eloquent lady that spoke on, the things that's going on about, and she spoke better than the video I shared before about how, listen, I personally loot and ride and tear buildings down. I mean, probably not. I can give a damn about Target. Even I really can. But the mom and pop shops, yeah, okay, I feel bad for them. Those are the small businesses and everything that I really feel bad for. But the lady said in the video, like, listen, just you were trying to make a point. Y'all not getting across when we do it peacefully and other ways that y'all want to do. Y'all criticize everything that we do. So now until we tear down these buildings, and that's when we start hearing y'all voices at the first time when we doing something, tearing down these buildings and everything like that. Why now? But the lady at the end of the video, and it's still giving me goosebumps on my arm when she said it. She's like, "You lucky black people are just looking for equality and not revenge." That was deep. See, if you haven't seen that video, you gotta watch it. It was on John Oliver show, and but I thought it was great. But as far as the comments, man, I just feel like we're having a discussion, and I'm glad Sia hasn't responded yet. But there's some people, and there's been some people that's been on your side too on the article. I'm not gonna sit there and just say, well, I see where he's coming from. So there has been some people on your side in the comments, but we need to understand that whenever someone is writing a different piece, you need to kind of evaluate all points instead of like, oh, well, my opinion is right, and that's what's kind of setting us back as a society anyways. It's just, yeah, everybody got an opinion, but you just don't want to be open-minded about to what someone is saying. So I that's my 2 cents on the comments, but how people are.
I know it's great, and I've been in this game for Hardwood's been up for 10 years. I've been writing about the NBA for 20 years. It would have been irresponsible for me to do the one piece that's questioning where LeBron is, and not do the second piece that's highlighting the formation of the voting group, which I did. I had both pieces up, so that would have been irresponsible for me to do one side and then not cover the other side. But I'm still gonna say it's not enough at this time right now. Even with what's going on this week in the NBA with the Players Association beef, where is he at? Like, come on, he wasn't even on the phone call.
Zoom call, yeah.
He wasn't on that, so it's just like, come on. Just to make some clarifications, I don't know how much you guys know about it, but just to make some clarifications, when the Players Associations had their call a couple of weeks ago to agree with the owners to come back, all the player reps wasn't on the call. So that's where this comes from. Okay. Chris Paul, I'm pretty sure, was on the call since he's the president. But since every team's representative wasn't on the call, that's why Kyrie Irving was like, hey, wait a minute. There's a group of us that doesn't agree with coming back and playing, and no one has heard from us because we wasn't represented on the first call. So this has been brewing all week, and then finally Kyrie had his call Friday, which Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, those guys were on. But they had to say, hey, these are some of the concerns that we have, and we're not sure if we want to come back right now. And I think it's fascinating.
Oh, I think it's beautiful too. I mean, did you see where? I mean, something was up because even Damian Lillard was talking about he didn't want to play. So I knew something was up. Something was brewing.
Been brewing. Yeah, it's been brewing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you heard about that story, Bryce. What's your thoughts on that? Kyrie Irving coming together and trying to get people like, well, hey, let's think about this.
Well, that's why I brought it up earlier, because it seems like that's been like kind of in the shadows behind some of this, with the other important stories going on, or like bigger stories, and I think it kind of ties into bringing up LeBron James too. It's like we don't know how he feels about that. And I know his thoughts probably carry some weight, but Dame, I know on Twitter, Damian Lillard has been, I think he's been vocal about not wanting to play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, you have some pretty important names, trying to be, I guess, a little more cautious about coming back. And like I said, with the U.S. still in technically the first wave of COVID-19, a lot of people aren't taking it as seriously as they were in the beginning. We're still seeing cases rise. We're still seeing people catch it. And with the how public everyone was about when what was the first player, the Utah player that got it?
Gobert.
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, everyone was so, so hard on that guy after, the details came out about how, he got it and the locker room got sick and then, they started shutting the NBA down. Or did we all of a sudden just forget? So I think it's interesting that you're having some important names come out and be vocal about not coming back, because if everyone wasn't involved in that call, then, they clearly need to go back and look, because
Yeah.
we need to be safe more than anything. Like, it'd be nice to have basketball back, but if we're not having, players be safe or feel like they're safe, then it's probably not the right time.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's a failure, a huge failure of the Players Association, which has been fractured for years, some of which I've covered on Hardwood. It's a joke at this point. I will say Chris Paul can be a mouthpiece for LeBron James because they're very tight, so I will say that. But at the end of the day, LeBron James still should have at least been on that call too. It's just like, bro, come
Yeah, it was
on,
kind of
bro,
bad that he went on the call. Yeah, why I was like, wait a minute. Like now, what was
bro.
crazy when I read it, and he went on the call. I'm like, man, I'm like now CL article coming back in my head. Like you at least don't want to hear what he's got to say, or at least Kyrie and everybody else. There's a significant amount of players that's was on this call.
Yeah,
Even some of your own teammates, Avery
right,
Bradley and
right.
Dwight Howard, are very vocal about like I don't
They
know if
don't
we
want to
should play.
play. Right, right.
Yeah,
Carmelo
but
Anthony said he don't know if he want to play. Um,
right.
and they have their reasons. Of course the health, and then of course the social reasons. So I get it. Austin Rivers said that some of the money that the players could use for that could go towards Black Lives Matter, and I agree with that as well. Um, even though I know the players aren't going to
Hmm.
donate all that money because Austin Rivers had a different bring up than they did. But um,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of talk. So if the players aren't going to be a united front, how the hell are we supposed to be a united front, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, so these are questions we look. We can't be cookie cutter about this. We can't spin the same bullshit that ESPN and other people put out. We have to get to the meat of the story, which is
Hmm.
where is this guy at? Why wasn't he even on a players call? And why aren't these guys united?
Yeah. Did you see the tweet between I guess the way the wording of it, I retweeted last night on Twitter. It was Adrian Wojnarowski saying something in a negative kind of connotation towards Kyrie. But Chris Haynes said something like something positive like, well, he's
Mm.
trying to bring something up. But you can tell, who's got a lot of money and who's do not.
Right,
And
right, right,
ESPN, but
right.
um but I read through some athletic article about where McCollum said, well, hey, be aware that, we'll take a financial dip, obviously, if we don't
Hmm.
play.
Hmm.
But then Stephen Jackson came out in a video and saying, like, well, have we heard any of the owners come out besides Mark Cuban?
Right, 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 right,
I mean, we haven't heard any owners come out and really say anything.
right. I
Is it
haven't
their
heard
place?
a lot of owners. I've heard organizations. So I know like the Miami Heat put out a statement. I know the Orlando Magic put out a statement, voicing their concerns against social injustice. So I've seen that. The owners are staying quiet, and here's why: because the owners have a trump card. If the players decide not to play, the owners are going to impose a lockout for the next season to try to recoup some of this money back. So right now, the owners and the players are at a 50-50 split. That could change, where the owners could get like a 54% share, and then the players' share would drop down. So that's the end game. So that's why the owners aren't saying anything right now. But I'm already sure they've sent feelers out saying, hey, if you guys don't come back to Orlando to play, then this is what we're going to do, which is going to be another super huge shitstorm next season.
Right.
So,
I hear a lot of people calling out Kyrie too on this. And do y'all think it's fair that they was like, well, have we heard Kyrie voice in the past and before this, just without wearing a t-shirt or anything like that? And what's your response to Kyrie saying, like, people saying, why now, Kyrie?
Kyrie has said things in the past and has spoke up against social injustice, and he can be a lightning rod, which is why people don't like Kyrie. Okay, of course we know he doesn't get along with any team he's at. One, two, a lot of people discredit him for his flat Earth theory, which I totally disagree with him on that. But that doesn't discredit what he's trying to say now.
Got you. Your thoughts, Bryce?
No, I just I think he's got a point. He's got a strong point. So I think the people who are against that, or do want to discredit him, they're looking at it the wrong way, or they need to at least be open minded to the argument, because we still don't know exactly how the reopening of everything should go. We don't know the right or wrong way. So to just discredit someone else's opinion, who clearly has more than a few people on his side, I think it's definitely worth everyone sitting down and having longer talks about. We shouldn't just discredit him or the people who are supporting his decision.
Where are we at on this? I mean, are we? I mean, listen. I know we all big hoop fanatics, and we'll love to have some basketball, but to a point, Kyrie, I mean, has expressed some concerns here, and it's valid. So I'm always I see from both sides. Yeah, would I love to have basketball back? Of course, but the part of me I like, listen, when we get sports back, we're gonna be distracted again. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we just gonna push this stuff, the social issues in the now.
Right.
So I mean, he's got a point. So we'll see. What are you signing on this?
I don't think they should play, and and I'm also going to say this: if they do come back and play, I think we'll see somebody named LBJ have like another shirt or some big to do about coming back and social injustice. That's when we'll see it, right? If they come back and play, but I don't think they should come back and play right now for a lot of reasons. Because if they come back and play now, then next season is going to have to be pushed back. There's probably going to be a shortened season. Okay, this is going to have financial ramifications for years for the players and the owners, because they're going to try their best to recoup some of this money. So if they don't play and the owners lock out the league, this is Lord Jesus. But I don't think they should right now.
Okay, Bryce, your thoughts? Should they play or not?
Probably not. I think I get the reasoning behind trying to bring the season back this year and trying to have an ending to it. Give all the teams a chance to finish what they started. But I think the safety health aspect of it is too big of a risk, and it's just, I think a lot of people aren't taking it seriously right now. It's easy to not take seriously with everything else going on, but I don't think it should not be in the forefront of some of our decision making as an aspect of what we should do. But I'm not like a big conspiracy theorist kind of guy, but if I had to guess, I would say as business owners that what CL said about if the owners can't get some money back to end this season, and if that in turn leads to a lockout for next season, that the owners, for their best interest to make money back, if they're trying to get it going this season, then they have, I guess, their decision making is based on profit. And I get that from their standpoint, but there's bigger things going on right now, both from a safety health perspective and social injustice perspective. So for the NBA players, it's amplified. I don't think the season should come back. I think the owners want it to come back for all the wrong reasons. And I think for some people in the Players Association and bigger names in the league, they might have more to gain from the season coming back in terms of being, I guess, a part of a bigger overall team aspect. Like LeBron James and Chris Paul and some of these guys, for the sake of like relationships and stuff, might not be the best in terms of making these decisions for the rest of the league, and not listening to other guys like Dame, like Kyrie, who clearly have other interests at heart. So, like I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I would say a lot of that has to do with a lot of the decision making. And I don't know who's involved in that. Like I said, throughout some bigger names, but that's just because we're not seeing LeBron James, and for Chris Paul and some of these guys to speak on behalf of the other people who went on that call, I just don't think that's the fairest thing. So I don't think it should come back, and I think the owners have too much to gain and the players have too much to lose.
Yep. Listen, yeah, I was so glad basketball's gonna come back, and I'm excited. And I listen.
Mhm.
There's this cause of where if they play 70 games, that they get a full TV contract. They all get that all deal. So this is
Mm-hmm.
why that they're playing. So and why they agreed to that certain amount of games. That as long as they get to 70,
Right.
TVD will be cleared and they'd be good. So I mean, yes, it's definitely about money,
Money game,
and
yeah.
it's definitely about money. And I do see where Kyrie is right. Kyrie is right. Austin Rivers right. You know, there's some players that live in check to check, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, everybody don't live the glamorous life. You know, I think about players on that's like the 15 man on my bench, like Kim Burge
Yeah.
who make 1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I like to say I like to have 1 million, but compared to what these guys are making, it's really not
Uh-oh.
that much.
Uh-oh.
To be honest.
Riley disagrees, Cortez. Riley disagrees.
I see. Like that's a lot of money. Stop tripping. But to me, I think that they need to shut down the NBA season. The numbers are rising in Florida. I've been out, got invited to a couple events. I'm the only one that has my mask on my face that I see who's
Yep.
around, and I'm like, these people are really not taking this seriously, and the numbers are rising. And Arizona had a big spike. Florida is rising up, and don't get me wrong, I applaud DeSantis was trying to lead the charge and here do this here and everything. But like I said, it's a money grab to be honest. We can do everything here and try to get everybody here. Soccer, UFC, basketball. Let's do it. But now with number rise, and Bryce made a point where they're going up. I'm like, I don't know, man. People really just like don't care anymore, and so I'm with it being canceled for them making a point because here I am, like, okay, yeah, we got Soldier, but I'm like, man, like me and Bryce was talking about, his eyes are coming back. I don't want to. There's so much stuff that's going on with the coronavirus and the social injustices and everything like that that we need to really focus on that first before we come back and play basketball.
Right.
And if it
Right.
takes a year, if it takes 2 years, well, it is what it is, man.
Look, I want to end it with this discussion here because I want to because you touched on this and Bryce touched on this and it was great that Bryce touched on this because it's very deep. Because I don't agree with power players leading a union. I don't agree with that because you're looking out for the top guys, not necessarily looking out for the lower level guys. So one of the faces of the league should not have been voted as the president of the union. That has to change. They have to change their structure big time.
Yeah. Your thoughts on that, Bryce, about Chris Paul leading it and
I just think it leads. It's like anything else. I just think it leaves the door open for like shenanigans, basically. And it's just like I don't know the structuring of the Players Association. I don't know how it all works. But for just this incident, to see how it went down, and to see how influential it was, and to see how the other players are having to fight now to have their voices heard, none of it should have went down that way. I mean, it shouldn't go down that way on a small decision, let alone something as important as what we're talking about.
Mhm.
And like we've all said the whole time, it's right now there's some other bigger things going on than basketball. And whether or not you want to take the virus seriously or not, believe the news or the science that's coming out behind that, the the riots and the protests, all of that thing is bigger than everything right now. I mean, and it's not even the United States. I see videos of other countries, sliding their statues of known slave traders down the road. Everybody's fed up with it.
Mhm.
And that is bigger than everything right now. And so whether or not you want to factor in everything else, just those things, they're so big that you want to have a phone call and decide people's uh, finances and their safety on your own, and there's another side of it, a group that doesn't want to do it, then there's something wrong. There's something wrong there. Not everybody's getting heard. Not everybody's getting taken care of.
Right.
And if it's because the more popular or more vocal leaders have control, then yeah, something needs to change.
Yeah. And now with the theme parks that's going to be, opening up soon. And that's why I just like, it's such a money grab. And I get where some of these players are coming from with safety regards, because like y'all really was focused on safety. Y'all want to open these theme parks, let us finish the season before, thousands and millions of people start showing up. So yeah, I mean, can you imagine people trying to know that NBA players own property and do whatever they can to try to sneak and try to go in there? They're just so much of a security risk just for people trying to sneak in there. So not only safety, security, and then money on it. So, but yeah, these players are right, and there needs to be a structure and figure out, with this protocol. Yes, it's new, and they probably didn't have things up to clear and how to do this. It is a difficult situation to deal with this coronavirus, but you should have definitely got more input from your players. Like I mentioned earlier, I just like with Damian Lillard saying something way before this even came out. I was like, maybe. I mean, he just wouldn't just say that. There's got to be other people that's feeling like this,
right.
And I completely missed that. And when Kyrie came out and said something, I was like, "Hey!" And it came back to me like, "Man, Damon said something like a while ago, and maybe they was feeling like this, man. I didn't know." I was just like, "That's just one player. That's just Damian Lillard, man. You don't want to play, whatever." And I'm just kind of joking about it, but now I'm like, looking back at it, okay, Dwight Howard feel this way. Lou Williams, who is also on the championship contending team, feels this way.
Right.
Avery Bradley, like all these players feel this way. And I'm glad that, they took their platform and had this discussion about it and figure out what's the next step. Do we want to play? And I can't blame them one bit. All right. Anything else you want to add? Anything else, CL?
No, I just want to say thank you for coming on and helping us out with this, because you're a great, fantastic moderator. So that's why I invited you on. Of course, you'll be on more, but the discussions like this need to be had. And I wish Kevin would have been on, but I know it's his birthday weekend. Shout out to Kevin Carter, your partner, on a Balls in Our Court podcast. So, because I know Kevin would have spit fire today.
Yeah, he would have been on it, man. But he's right now he's in the aquatic swim with dolphins right now.
Right. So he's my brother.
Look, Bryce like that's not. So yeah, it's his birthday, man. I guess yeah. Hey, it's all good, man. But make sure y'all follow the content. Go to thehardwoodnation.net. CL and Bryce is doing this video podcast going further. As you see, CL start with a bang. The site is running back up, and I see a lot of articles just flying left and right. But yeah, it's a forefront that we need to discuss. CL has a platform, and he's willing to use it. And you see a lot of his team that he's got back here, and Bryce himself and myself. We want to help him any way we can to back him up. Hey, we're gonna back him up, man. So CL's got a huge back, and as you see the video podcast, he addresses the comments, and that's a lot of us feel that hey, kind of feel the same way CL are feeling right now. So we appreciate you, CL. We close this bad boy. So make sure you follow them on Twitter, Facebook, all the social platforms, and everything like that. You can follow me at in the minus TP. CL, you got Twitter. You can give them your Twitter handle.
At Hardwood Nation.
Definitely. And Bryce, you want to give me your Twitter?
I don't think I remember it because I don't really use it. But you know what? I'm going to start more. I think it's at BDW1789, but I could be wrong.
There it is.
But
close enough.
I was like, huh. When he named his off, I go, I'm not going to know mine.
Just go to the Hardwood Nation and search Bryce Ward.
Yeah, you can find me there.
Hey, we added 5 new riders this week, so we're booming.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
Yep, man. I'll let CL
Thanks for coming on, Cortez.
Hey, no problem, guys. Yeah. Close this bad boy. I know CL done hit stop record, so are we good?
I didn't hit it, but I hit it now.
There it is.